So hey, this is ChronoAV, and in the previous video we just were working on this anime, and in this video we'll be completing this anime, just adding the animation and everything. In the previous video we just added some functions. Now we're gonna add some animation. So that is all we're gonna do. With that said, smash the like button, hit subscribe. Can we reach, I don't know, 650 subscribers? Something like that. Can we reach that number? And with that said, let's get started. So now down here, let's make a function called attack player. Now first of all, we need the position of the player, meaning it will take a position that will be the player's position minus our own position, and whatever value it comes, that will be the actual player's position. That is the position we need to go. So we'll take that position first of all. So take player position. Then after that, because it's a vector 2 position, we have to normalize it, otherwise that angle, basically that movement angle, will affect the speed as well. So normalize player position. Then after that, attack on that position. So right now these are the three things we need to do. First of all, let's make a reference to the player's position up here. So on our attack player, so write private vector 2 and let's call it player position. Now go down here in the function and then write here player position is equal to player, that is the player game object, dot position, and we will subtract it by our own position, meaning transform dot position. Now this will give us the actual position of our player, and then we have to normalize it. So let's write player position dot normalize, and after that we will make the enemy move towards the player position. So enemy RB dot velocity is equal to player position, and we will multiply that with our attack player speed. So by writing if input dot get key down, and let's say key code dot space. So now whenever we press the space key, the attack player function will be played. So let me just comment this out for now. And back in Unity, when I hit play and when I press the space key, it attacks the player. So let's do it one more time. I'll just change the player's position, and when I hit space key, it attacks on the player. So for now this is good. Now let's have one last function that is called flip towards player function. So let's put it just below our attack player function and create a function called flip towards player. And here, first of all, we need a player's direction. So write a float player's direction will be equal to the player game object dot position on the x-axis minus our own position on the x-axis. So this will give us the player's direction, whichever direction the player is. Now down here, write if the player direction is actually greater than 0, meaning if the player is on the right side of our enemy and we are facing left, then we will flip. That will help us flip towards the player. And else if player direction is actually less than 0, meaning the player is on the left side and we are actually not facing left, that means we are facing right, then we will flip. So after doing all this, let me just make a reference of this function just up here. So now after calling this, let me just hit save and let's go back in Unity, hit play, and now because it's on the left side as well as the enemy is facing left, nothing is happening. But when I go right, it flips, see, according to our player's movement. So it works as well. Alright, now let's make the animation. So to make animation, you need the animation and animator panel. Just go to Windows, Animation, and bring out both of those panels. After doing that, click on Gruz Mother and then click on Create. So I'm going to put it inside the animation folder. So the first animation will be our Gruz Mother _ idle. So it's the idle animation and I have these 4 frames. So let me just drag it. I'll just drag it in an interval of 5, like 0, 5, 10, 15, just like that. So this is it. This is the idle animation. So you should make your idle animation as long as your idle state. Meaning, when we start the game, it will be in idle, and it will be in idle for like 2 seconds. And after that, it will randomly either choose the attack towards player function or the attack up and down function, and the attack up and down function will last for like 5 seconds. So according to that, make it as long as you want the idle state to be. So in my case, I want it to be like 2 seconds long, which means 120 frames. That is the 2 second mark. So I'm just gonna basically copy this and paste it like this until I reach the 2 second mark. Alright, I have made it. Now go to animator. Before going to animator, click on Gruz Mother. You should see the animator. Okay, now you see the animator. Click on it, and we are going to make our script, which we will call Gruz Mother _Idel. After that, once it is made, open it up in Visual Studio. Now here you will see 5 different functions, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them have their own feature, but we only need the onState inter, which is like the start function, and the onState update, which is like the update function. So let me just remove all of this, and let's remove the comment. After that, first of all, let's make a reference to the Gruz Mother script, this script right here, where we have everything, right? I am going to call it Gruz. After that, hit save, go back to Unity, and now you'll see a place where you can drag and drop the Gruz Mother script. But if you actually try to do that, we can't do anything. We cannot drag and drop it. So we have to call it here. That's why we are using the onState inter. So in the onState inter, write Gruz is equal to GameObject dot find object with tag, and the tag that we're going to use is going to be capital GRUZ, capital MOTHER, Gruz Mother. So this will find a game object with the tag Gruz Mother, and then it will get the component, which will be our Gruz Mother script. So once you hit save, go back in Unity, click on Gruz Mother, and here in the tag section, you need a tag called capital GRUZ MOTHER. Just make a tag, call that, and just assign it as that tag. Now after doing that, now we will call the idle state here. So to do that, first of all, you need to make the idle state as public. Make the idle state as public, as well as the attack up and down as public, and the attack player as public as well. We are going to use all of this script somewhere else. So go to Gruz Mother, write Gruz dot and idle state. So now, as long as the idle animation is playing, we will be calling the idle state. Let's hit save, go back in Unity, and now when I hit play, it will play the idle animation. Now after making the idle state, now let's make our attack up and down state. So write Gruz Mother _ attack up and down. Now here also it will be same as the idle animation, so we are going to use the same animation here. But this will go for like 5 seconds, meaning 300 frames, which is the 5 seconds. So I'm just going to copy it just like we did back in the idle animation and just paste it here like this. I'm going to do it until we reach the 5 seconds. So a montage. Now once we have done this, go here, and now we are going to make a transition from this animation to this animation. So click on this, right click, make transition, and make the transition. Click on transition, and here you can see an exit time and transition duration. Exit time is how much of the animation you should play before going to the next animation. And in our case, we want the idle state to be like 2 seconds, so we want to play the whole animation. So put 1 here, that means it will play the whole animation, and it will take 0.25 seconds to transition to the Gruz Mother attack up and down. So we don't want any transition duration, it should be snappy, so keep it as 0.1. Now after doing that, it will play this for like 5 seconds, and then go back to the idle animation. So here also it should play the whole animation, basically whole 5 seconds of it. So 1, and no transition duration, so 0.1. Now after that, while we are like here, basically while we are playing the idle, we play the idle state as well. Here also make another script, and let's call it GruzMother underscore attack up and down. Now in this script, first of all, just copy all of this from the idle script. The reason why I did this is even in this script we have to basically call this and this, and instead of calling the idle state, we are going to call the attack up and down state. So remove the idle and write attack up and down. So now if you go back, what's going to happen is when I hit play, as you can see, it's playing the normal for like 2 seconds and then starts playing the up and down, attack up and down function for like 5 seconds and goes back to normal. I'll just remove this maximize on play and hit play again, and here if I click here, you can see that happening right here. So it happens and then goes to playing this for like 5 seconds and goes back to doing that again. So that keeps on happening. Now we don't want it to happen automatically. We want a condition right here. We want a condition. Only when the condition is actually met, we want it to go to attack up and down. So in the parameter section, click on plus, make a trigger, and let's call the trigger basically attack up and down. Now only when attack up and down is triggered, we'll play this animation. So when I hit play, it will be in idle, and when I click here, then it goes to this, which is great. So now this works. Now let's make the other one, which is called attack player. So another clip, we are going to call it GruzMother underscore attack player. And for the attack player animation, I just have 1 frame, which looks like this. So when I hit play, yeah, that's the attack player animation basically. So once we made this, you can see an attack player here. We need to make one more, which is the slammed animation. We are going to call it GruzMother underscore slammed, and just drag and drop this here. This is the GruzMother slammed. Now let's drag it up here, then make a transition, and after that in the transition we will not have an exit time because we don't need any exit time. The moment a trigger is set, we are going to create a condition. The moment the condition is met, we will directly start attacking the player. So we don't need a transition duration like here. And for the transition duration as well, put it as 0.1. We don't need any transition duration. Then after playing the attack, when we actually touch the ground, we want it to play the slammed animation. So drag the slammed animation here, just up here, and after that let's make the transition. Here also we don't need any exit time, we need like 0.1. Actually we don't need any transition duration as well. No exit time and no transition duration. We need a condition basically. And after we play the whole animation, by the way, the slam animation should last for like at least 10 frames. So after we play the whole animation, what should happen is it will go back to idle. So that is all that's going to happen. Here the transition duration should be 0.1 and the exit time should be 1 because we want to play the whole slammed animation. So now to go from the idle to the attack, we need a condition, and that condition is a trigger called attack player. So only when attack player is actually triggered like this, then we go to the attack player animation. So now from going from attack player to slammed, we need a condition, and that condition will be basically a trigger called slammed. So only when the slam is triggered, we will actually slam, and after playing that we'll go back to doing this. So now when I hit play, you can see it's being idle, and when I click, it starts playing this animation, which is good. Now we'll put a script here that will call the attack player function. So add a script, which will be our GruzMother underscore attack player. In that script, basically just copy everything from here, and instead of GruzMother dot attack up and down, we will call the GruzMother dot attack player. So after doing that, let's hit save and go back to Unity. Now when I hit play, what's going to happen is, when I click here, it just attacked the player, which is great, but when I actually move the player, it is still following the player, and we don't want that. So now the reason why it is still following the player is because we are calling this function from the update function. And when you call it from the update function, what happens is it keeps on taking the player's position and keeps on making the enemy move to that position. We only want it to take the player's position once, and after it has taken, until you crash on the ground, it will not take the player's position. So what you can do is up here, create a boolean called has player position. Put it under the header of attack player, and down here write if you don't have the player position, so does not have player position, then we will take the player position and we will normalize it. And after we have done that, we will say has player position is equal to true. And now if we have the player position, meaning has player position is true, then we will do the attack. And then after that, if I am either touching the wall, that means is touching wall, or let's say I am touching the ground as well, so is touching down. So if I am either touching the wall or I am touching down, then first of all I will just stop immediately. That means my enemy RB.velocity will be equal to vector2.0. I will immediately stop, and once I have stopped, my has player position will also be false. And here I will also play the slammed animation. So right now just write play slammed animation for now. So just keep it like this. Now go back to Unity, and now what should happen is when I hit play and when I actually call this, as you can see, now it only does it once and it goes back. Right now we don't have any way of transitioning from this to this, that's why it could not go back to idle, but I can assure you it works. Now let's make a system which will trigger this. So to make that, in our Gruz Mother, first of all we are going to call, like we have called the enemy RB, we are going to call the animator component. So private animator and call it enemy. After that, let's get the component of that enemy here. And after that, in our attack player function, just write enemy dot set trigger, and the trigger that we are going to set is called slam. So capital SLAMED. Write it exactly like you have written here. So capital SLAMED, capital SLAMED. Now you have a way of transitioning from attack player to slam and back to idle. So let's hit play. Now let's call it, and when it slams, it goes back to idle, which is great. So let me just put it about here and again do that. Sorry, I pressed the wrong one. Right. Yeah, as you can see, it works. After doing that, we are going to create a function that will help us randomly transition from either this or this state. So back in Unity, at the top, let's just make a function called random state picker. And then we need an integer called random state. And it'll be a random dot range, and the range will start from 0 and end at 2. So now this line of code will help us pick a random number from 0 to 1. It won't pick 2. It will not pick 2. So after that, write if random state is equal to 0. So if the random state is equal to 0, then we will pick the attack up and down state. And else if random state is equal to 1, then we will play the attack player animation. So to play this, just we have to call the trigger attack up and down. So anim dot set trigger, and the name of the trigger is capital A TTACK, up and down. And let me just copy this and paste it down here. And here we are going to call the attack play. Once you do that, hit save, go back to Unity. After doing that, in the idle animation on the 2-second mark, click on the 2-second mark and click on add event. Now in the event, click on a function, and that function will be a random state picker. So now whenever this animation ends, we will randomly pick either this state or this state, and we'll transition to that state. Now before going to that, in my 1 minute and 30-second mark, create another event, and that event will basically flip towards player. So while doing your idle animation, it will flip towards the player and then pick a random point. So now if I hit play, what's going to happen is we'll play the idle animation. It will randomly choose, as you can see, it just randomly chose one thing, and once that animation is actually done, it goes back to idle. Again, randomly chose 1 or 0 maybe, and again it will pick. And this time it chose that, which means it will attack. Again, as you can see, it attacks. But if you see a problem here, we don't know what's going to happen basically. Now some of you would love that, but the actual enemy has an anticipation. This kind of an animation, where did it go? Sprite. And this kind of an animation where it looks like it's about to attack the player, and then it does either this or this. So first of all, let's make that animation. Gruz Mother underscore, let's say about to attack, maybe. Let's call it that. And here again, in an interval of 5, I'm just going to drag and drop this. And the last frame, I'm going to make it like 10 frames long. So just copy this, go to the 10th frame, paste it. So it'll look something like this. As you can see, it looks like it's about to attack. Now, before going to the attack, first of all, we'll go to this, and then we'll go to the attack. So now how we are going to do this is, let me just first of all make it like this. Now, we're going to do the same thing like we have done here, but here. So it does not have any exit time, and it has a 0.1 second of transition duration, and has attack player as condition. So here also do the same thing. So once we do that, just remove this, and now it will go to this, and then it will go to this. So before going to this, we want to play the whole animation, and we want a small transition time. So now let's do the same thing here as well. So to do that, click here, press on Ctrl plus D to make a duplicate here. And again, before going to this, basically we'll go to this and then go to this. First of all, let me just make it a little bit easier for you to understand me. I mean, just manage it a little bit, all right? Okay, now in this it already works. Now here, right click, make transition, make a transition here. Again, right click, make transition here. And for this, do the same as this. So 1 second, 0.1, and when attack up and down is clicked. So here, 1 second, 0.1, and attack up and down. So it works. So we can delete this now. And here, the exit time will be 1 second, and the transition duration will be 0.1. Now after doing that, our whole enemy AI is done. So I'll maximize it on play, hit play, and now if you see here, plays the idle animation, and as you can see, we had an anticipation. Yeah, it does that, and only then it starts doing that. So now our enemy actually works. You can make it more polished, you can make it actually more animated and more better, like the actual Gruz Mother anime AI, but I did this much. And one more thing, you can add a like the intro animation also, just make a sleeping animation, and inside put a script that will check if the player is about to hit, if the player has hit the enemy or not. So if the player has hit the enemy, then it will transition to idle and everything will be normal. Everything will go exactly like this. So just make that, and you can also make one more thing. Whenever you hit either the wall or the ground, like here in the attack up and down, if I hit the wall, meaning if I hit the upper part of my ground, then I'll play one animation that looks like I'm slamming on the upper part, and if I hit down, I'll play another animation that looks like I'm slamming on the down. It will make it even more animated and more better. So all of that you can do it on your own. This is the main, what do you call that? Flowchart, let's say that. Flowchart? I don't know. This is the basic state machine that will help you make this enemy, and these here, actually here are all the script you need. I'll have it in my itch.io asset bundle. You can just download it and I'll make a prefab out of it so that you can literally just drag and drop it in your scene and it will work perfectly. So with that said, thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Smash the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe for more content like this. Press the bell icon. I put new content every Wednesday mostly, and if I make content which is kind of long and I have to cut it down, I put it every other day. So with that said, again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.